Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right, welcome to the POMcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. Hold on a second. My hat is acting up. Something is in the way. So, yeah. Live broadcast. That happens. That shouldn't happen, but it happens. Anyway, thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started on this jam-packed episode, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is 1-800-330-7461. What I was trying to do with this ad was set you up with a resource in Central Florida. Everybody wants to go down to the beaches. Everybody wants to do Disney. Everybody wants to do Universal. Everybody wants to do that kind of stuff. Well, now you can do it and have a resource down here for really no cost. They can get you the same price that you get on the internet. The parks pay them. That's Travel and Cruise World, 1-800-330-7461. Also, go to bookatailgate.com. Again, that is bookatailgate.com. That is take you to the Grove's site. Basically, they are a tailgating company, and they can do things through the full season. They can do single game. Prices start at $200. They can get your TV. They can even pick up your catering, store your stuff that of the tailgating gear that you already have. They're full service operations. So call bookatailgate.com. That is 662-701-1177, and they will hook you up. Also, the official watch of the POMcast is La Terrain watches. That being la-terrain.com. Enter POMcast as the promo code. You can see it down at the bottom right there. Enter that on the code, and you get the best rate, and everything will get credit. So hit them up. LaTerrain.com, la-terrain.com, promo code POMcast for some great looking, great watches out there. So do that for me as well. Also, if you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at Positively and at the Stephen Willis. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe and hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about, and everybody wants to do that. Lots of people use the notification system at YouTube and actually watch the video in other places. One of our other video sites is actually pretty interesting. That's the reason we have, I think we went over 600 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. And also we're on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss. That's all one word, all lowercase, Positively Ole Miss. You can catch us audio-wise on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Audible. That would be where the audio version of the show is. Our numbers are just absolutely fantastic. We should break the monthly record today. Also, today is going to be a fairly busy day as well. Technological glitches got in the way, and we weren't able to do it yesterday. So we're going to try again today to get Isaac Gross. We're going to try and record that interview at 6 o'clock. Talking Ball with Bill Flowers debuts. We talk about the Austin Peay game. We talk about the Tulane game. We talk about football in general and where offensive football is taken. He's a really smart guy, and I have fun breaking down games and just listen to the guy talk. So That'll be available at, I think, 6 Eastern or 6 Central. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that. Just get a reminder on our YouTube page. It's on there in the get a reminder, along with the Biscuits and SEC tomorrow at 6. So, also, the Tulane game, we had trouble finding a beat writer. I don't want to just put anybody up in the air, but Tulane's a place that you just can't find a beat writer. They just don't cover it. I think there's the Fear the Wave blog and there's the Rivals guy, and that's about it. And neither one of them wanted to come in and do a preview. I don't see that be a problem later on this season. All the Alabama guys and all that will be able to cover those, no problem. Even the Liberty guy, we have a contact up there. So, but Tulane was the lone holdout, and for whatever reason, and we just weren't able to do that. I think Gary Smith is the Rivals guy. Maybe he didn't want to cross network it. I don't know. Fear the Wave blog. They're appearing everywhere. I think there's some sort of relationship and everything. People trying to keep us from getting the content. That's fine, because at the end of the day, it's Tulane, and we have contacts for all the other places. So it'll come back next week, the Saturday morning preview. You saw that with Joe DeLeon this past weekend and the first weekend with Cameron Teague. But so it will come back next week with the Alabama game 2 weeks from now. So I'm pretty excited about that. So big show today. Today we're going to talk about, the offense just needs to clean it up. It needs to play clean. We don't need penalties. That is done in multiple jobs. A couple of O-line blocking assignment issues against Austin Peay. I'm not really too worried about that, but they need to play clean. And also, Spencer Rattler is the quarterback that actually is Matt Corral. I mean, Matt Corral is the quarterback that everybody told us Spencer Rattler was in the preseason. That's what I'm trying to say. And that is starting to show. That is starting to be a real thing. And also, this game could be in the second segment, talking about it, a top 5 uniform game in the country. Of course, Ole Miss is in a top 5 uniform games a lot because of how beautiful their uniforms are. Tulane kind of fills that same void. We talked yesterday about their trolling attempt that they were trying to do. I think they got us confused with Mississippi State. But we'll talk about that some in the second segment as well. But let's talk about how the team needs to clean up the offense, and mainly for these guys. These guys aren't turning the ball over. They put the ball on the ground once. Against Austin Peay, but they're not turning the ball over. They're not giving it away. They're respecting the ball, and as everybody knows, it is all about the ball. And the main issue seems to be those penalties. And, you might have a 7-yard run on first down, get a holding penalty, and it's 1st and 20. So you got a 20-yard position to go for a first down. And let me go to some water real quick. I'm going to take a short break, and we'll be back with the rest of the show shortly. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I'm sorry about that. I had a little bit of the cough, so took care of that real quick. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Yes, Lynn, I'm sorry about that. But we need to play clean offensively. The penalties drop us in a 1st and 20 situation, and that is going to kill our offense. Against Austin Peay, this is a game where the team could have scored 70 points in that game. Fairly easily. There was the, quote, dropped pass by Jonathan Mingo. There was the drop by Dontario Drummond. And the fumble inside the 10. That is somewhere in the neighborhood of 73 points that they could have easily scored. And not playing clean is the reason they didn't. Now, this is all a build up to Alabama. Now, we need to take care of our P's and Q's against Tulane. I'm not overlooking Tulane at all. But this was a build up to Alabama, and this is a build up to Alabama. We're trying to be ready for that game. But to do that, we need to put a clean game together. We need to handle our business versus Tulane. Ideally, this will be a 21 to 28 point win. Now, Tulane's a good team, and that probably won't happen. But ideally, that would probably happen. And in doing that, you will be in a position to move forward with the offense and everything going against Alabama. Now, remember, we're probably only running about 30 to 40% of our stuff because we haven't had to run the rest of it. Haven't had to put that on film. So there's still a lot of stuff in reserve for Alabama. There's still an absolute lots of stuff that we can do. I mean, I think Jerry and Ely's played in the slot 3 plays. Henry Parrish, I think 1 play. Something like that. And that is going to give us some flexibility moving forward against Alabama. That is going to give us some of what we need offensively against Alabama. Now, whenever we start running the full package, the offense will look cleaner. I think there's a little bit of a problem of oversimplification in an offense. Yes, you can go as fast as you want to go, but whenever you do that, there's not as much focus. Whenever you start doing some of the advanced stuff, you're going to focus in and do your job a little bit more. Also, against Austin Peay, Orlando Mana wasn't in the game. He didn't play. Bryce Ramsey played center, and if Orlando Umana wasn't available for Alabama, I think Ben Brown would move over. So we did that against Austin Peay because we could get away with doing that against Austin Peay. Period. Austin Peay, by the way, would look a lot like us if we were an FCS team. That's what our offense would look like. Scotty Walden at Austin Peay is doing a fantastic job. Joe DeLeon referred to them as going to compete for the Ohio Valley Conference title. Them and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State went down and beat Florida State. So don't necessarily minimize that win. And especially that cover. Because all the angst that people are having, I think, is programmed. Because you covered the line, you scored 50 points. It was 37-7 at halftime. That level of angst, it isn't warranted. But did we play clean? Absolutely not. So we need to play clean against Tulane. We need to get to prove we can do it. Because if this keeps on, this will become our identity this year. So we need to nip that, play a clean game, get ready for Alabama, and let's go. Also, if you've looked anywhere in the media in the last couple of days, ESPN, Pro Football Focus, the whole 9 yards, you will see that Matt Corral is a betting favorite to finish in the top 3 for the Heisman. I don't think I've seen him below 3 at this point. And I've seen him as high as 2. The prohibitive favorite right now, no matter which service you're looking at, is Bryce Young. So, If Ole Miss takes care of business, plays clean on Saturday, there's a large game 2 weeks away to be played. It will be the largest game that Ole Miss has played probably since the Alabama game in 2016, somewhere in there. Now, I'm not going to overly put down, and I'm not going to overly say we're going to win the game or anything like that. I'm just saying this is the largest game since then. Maybe since the 2015 Alabama game, but I think the 2016 Alabama game. And you want these games, these games that you can play in, because these big-time games raise the profile of your school. You can see the benefit of the doubt that Ole Miss is getting right now. 16th in the coaches poll, 17th in the AP poll. Are they the 16th and 17th team in the country? I don't know. Still pretty early on that. We'll find out a lot more about that Saturday night. But you get a long rope with Lane Kiffin. Everything gets covered. You can see that Ole Miss is being covered absolutely everywhere. The students were completely packed in the stadium this past weekend. You can see the enthusiasm that he brings to the program. It's a program build. So, if you understand that, you can understand how, at the level this Alabama game is going to be. You can understand how big of a game it potentially will be. At this point, if Ole Miss wins the game against Tulane and Alabama wins the game against Florida, I expect College Game Day to be in Tuscaloosa for that game. And I expect it to be the 2:30 CBS game. Because it will be the most watched, most looked forward to game of the weekend. Now, this is 2 weeks away, and there's business that has to be taken care of. But if Ole Miss beats Tulane and Alabama beats Florida, that game will be a zoo. It will absolutely be a zoo. And there's not a dang thing wrong with it. And you can see the coaches, they're overly preparing. As soon as the Austin Peay game was over, they started building up Tulane. Now, it's not like Lou Holtz where you were playing Holy Cross and you start talking about them like they're Alabama. It's not like that. But there's some truth to them saying that Tulane is an SEC type team. They're decent on the lines. They're very fundamentally sound. They have Chip Long at offensive coordinator that I actually really respect for what he did at Memphis and Notre Dame. Michael Pratt is a great quarterback. He really is. Now, whenever you play against these drop 8 defenses, like we're doing right now, we're doing a vanilla version of it right now. That's probably going to change. But it gives young quarterbacks problems. And Michael Pratt is a sophomore. Michael Pratt is going to make some mistakes, but he's a really good quarterback. And I expect Sam Williams and I expect Cedric Johnson and even the nose, Quentin Bivens and everything to have a modicum of success against that offensive line. I do expect that to happen. Then the Lakeith Henrys and the Chance Campbells can flow in the linebacker area, and you got the 6 defensive backs. So you have a chance to do some work. I flipped over to the defense again real quick, but I think it's going to be a good football game. It's going to be one of those games that Ole Miss is up, I don't know, a touchdown in the third quarter, and this is like a game that everybody gets nervous about and all of this going on, and all of a sudden in the third and fourth quarter, Ole Miss kind of separates. There seems to be one quarter, even in the Oklahoma game against Tulane, there was one quarter. And at halftime, they were up 37-14. Now, Oklahoma scored 3 points in the second half. If Oklahoma would have scored a touchdown, that game's completely out of reach, and it's 44-35, and there's a completely different feel. So understand that. Understand what is going on and what is at stake. Ole Miss has better players than Tulane. Period. I don't think that's a stretch to say. But this is a team that if you play sloppy and you don't play clean, can beat you. If you turn the ball over offensively a couple of times and give them easy scores, short fields, they're going to take advantage of it. Next thing you know, you're down by 3 points at halftime. So understand they're good enough to beat you. They are absolutely good enough to beat you. But if you take care of business and do what you're supposed to do, they should not beat you. I think that makes sense. So we have that. And like I said before, Spencer Rattler was propped up all offseason by the media. I mean, just oppressively propped up. Just all over the place. Even though his numbers were worse than Matt Corral's numbers, Spencer Rattler would be at the top of the Heisman list, and Corral would not even be on it. And what we're discovering is Matt Corral is that quarterback that the media told us Spencer Rattler was. Just a genuine dual threat, all the arm talent in the world, and making some great throws. Also, people need to understand with Ole Miss's offense. Everybody's talking about, what about Dontario Drummond over Braylon Sanders and Jonathan Mingo, and there's reason why all that's open. Dontario Drummond's always going to be the guy. The tight end also is always going to be the guy, because this is an offense that doesn't necessarily attack one-on-ones and all that. It attacks kind of space. The space behind the linebackers and in front of the safeties. They attack that. Braylon Sanders scores a touchdown where he caught the ball and he went in front of the linebackers. They attack spaces in a zone defense. And if you want to play man against them, they've got stuff that'll work on that. But not many teams play man against them. If you want the outside receivers to get a lot of work, play a lot of man against Ole Miss, because then they will double move you to death. So everybody plays zone, that 3 deep zone. That's 3 in the back, 5 across the linebacker level, and there's going to have to be spaces that you attack. And one of the spaces that you attack is the middle of the field. With RPOs across the middle, you have to be careful about the linebackers and what they're looking at. So he's doing a good job of taking what the defense gives him, Matt Corral, I'm saying. But understand that whenever people say, hey, we need to get the outside receivers involved. No, this offense is always going to be about taking what the defense gives you. The defense can never be right doing what this offense does. And we need to just keep that in perspective, because the outside guys, they may not show up all year. They have a vital role in this offense. Absolutely vital. But they might not show up. You might not see an outside receiver with a ton of catches. Now, Jonathan Mingo showed up last weekend. But you may not see it this weekend. And the outside receivers will be inconsistent. It's like playing fantasy football and drafting a Saints wide receiver. One weekend, they might just blow up. This is before Michael Thomas. And the next week, they might just disappear. So, understand this offense. And they want to do. The primaries in this offense are always going to be the tight end and the slot receiver. Those are going to get the most catches in this offense, just the way it's set up. Not a lot of plays. They do have some stuff, the Norm Chow stuff, the Lane Kiffin stuff, that can work against man coverage. But if you're going to zone us, if you're going to drop 8, they're going to just attack the middle of the field over and over and over again. because you trust the quarterback to do it. You trust the receiver to get open, and the outside receivers are fast enough and good enough that they have to be respected. That's going to create space in front of the safety and behind the linebacker. Now, if they drop back and play coverage and try and cut that space down, then you run the ball. Because you can never be right against this offense. This offense just absolutely tortures linebackers. So before we get out of here today, I'm going to give you a little bit of time back today. But, there's a top 5 uniform game that could potentially happen with Tulane and Ole Miss. I'm looking forward to seeing what they run out there in. I've seen their helmets. They're going to Tulane's going to use the white lids with greenie on the side with their SEC championships on the back, which it makes sense. Okay. But I think they got us confused with Mississippi State because they're going to walk in with their 3 SEC championships. The last one was in 1949. And then you look up and see that we've won 6, with the last one being 63. So they're not, it's not exactly relevant. It's not exactly a troll. Now, if it was Mississippi State with 1 SEC title from 1941, yes, that helmet sticker would absolutely be a troll. Absolutely. But it's not really the case in regards to Ole Miss. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tulane wears. The Angry Wave is a top 5 logo in college football. I love the Angry Wave. They better wear the Angry Wave on some part of their helmet. Like you have greenie on one side, you better put the Angry Wave on the other. I'll be genuinely disappointed. But Michael Pratt and the guys, like I said, a good team. And I'm expecting them to show up ready to play, and Ole Miss is going to have to really, really work to win this game. So we can all look forward to that. So we're going to get out of here and give you a little bit of time after this extra. You can, take it back, do with it what you please. That is the POMcast for today. Tune in tomorrow for the same thing. Remember, Bill Flowers tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern, and Beast of the East is at 9:30 Eastern. Those are the 2 shows tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow, and hope everybody has a good day, good plan, and we'll get ready to watch some ball. So, hotty toddy.